And if you have a yoga block, let's take a yoga block and let's place it between our thighs. And we're just going to come right into some really basic abdominal braces with our breathing before we come onto the roller. So a little out of sequence today from where we normally are. I'm going to take my yoga block, place it on my skinny side, and just rest here on my back. I'm in my neutral spine, and I can just take a moment to feel where the back of my body meets the ground. Now, at your own pace on your out breath, gently squeeze in on your block or a folded up pillow or a folded up towel. And then with your in breath, go ahead and release that squeeze in, that adduction, soften your belly, take a nice breath in. And go back and forth here with this isometric contraction. So our exhale, everything will draw into the midline isometrically. There's no movement through the spine. And then with our in-breath, everything will expand out laterally through the belly, through the pelvic floor, through the rib cage, through the spinal musculature. Good. Take about 3 more breaths here, just feeling that connection with your out breath and that connection with your in-breath. Notice how your body naturally sequences this very complex series of motions. Good, going back and forth. And maybe one more time, squeezing in as you breathe out, and then inhale, relax everything. Let the pelvic floor be soft, let the belly be soft, let the back be soft. And then you can take that block away. Now let's go ahead and transition onto our roller for some of those beginning opening motions we normally do. We're going to be on here a little less long than we normally are. So if you don't have a roller, everything should basically work. You could just rest on the ground and go through these motions that we go through. So start by arriving on your roller. And again, just take a quick moment to scan the back of your body. Notice where the back of your body meets your roller. And then a quick scan to notice where your feet are, which parts of your feet are connected with the floor. I'm hoping we can work a little more with the feet today. Notice the backs of the elbows, or I guess just the elbow points, backs of the hands. Good. And once you're there, if you're on the roller, you can do some little mini snow angels. So gently brushing the backs of the arms up to the point of first resistance with your in-breath, exhaling, gently allowing backs of the hands to sweep down. Good. Going back and forth, moving so gently, just really gently approximating that first point of resistance, not pushing, not efforting, and exhaling, coming down. So effort is such an interesting thing. It's like I was saying to Joan earlier, I think all of our bodies are actually type B. Even if our brains are type A, if our personality types are type A, our bodies are very different. You know, they can work hard for a period of time, but they really love to chill out. They like to go at the pace they're going. So just listen to these very natural experiences, sensations arising from your body, helping you determine the right level, right effort for you. Good, we'll do one more. Inhaling up. And so nice. And exhaling down, old school snow angels. And then allow your hands to rest down by your hips. And you can bend your elbows and place your fingertips on the front of your pelvic bones, the ASISs of your pelvic bones. We're going to go through our pelvic motions, and then we'll come back down to the ground. So with our in-breath, let's inhale and gently rock the pelvis forward, making a nice arch through the low back, letting the belly soften. And with our out breath, let's go the other way. So gently imprinting the small of the back into the roller, tucking the pelvis, scooping the tailbone under, but the hips will stay on the ground. Inhaling, rocking forward, and exhaling, rocking back. And a really important prerequisite to motor learning, to learning really ever, is to feel safe enough to be able to do it. And part of that is your own sense of just comfort and ease. And we were really working with that balance last time between ease and effort. And let's bring that into our class today too. Same thing. Let's be nice and easygoing. We'll suggest things to the body, but if it doesn't make sense, just back up a step, come back to the ground. Good. With the fingertips resting on the hips or the front of the pelvic bones, let that motion go. And now we're going to rock in the side to side plane, like a record spinning. So we're going to gently draw the left hip bone down towards the left heel. And you might notice that your right hip bone will rise up towards your right rib cage. And then gently release this and try the same thing on the other side. And I like to take a nice breath in as I stretch and reach the right hip bone away from the right rib. And then exhaling down, returning to neutral. Inhaling to open, gently lengthening the tissues back and forth, side to side, around the back and the deep belly. And again, you only have to move until the point of your first resistance. And if you don't feel any resistance, that's perfect. It's fine. It's no big deal. We are getting nice nourishment across the discs, across the tissues and the deep fascia. Do one more time on each side. And then just let this motion go as well. And now our next movement, we're going to move in that teeter-totter plane, which is the transverse plane. This is the toughest one to feel, and we don't have tons of movement here. So again, it's helpful to place your fingertips on your pelvic bones, and let's draw that left pelvic bone towards the earth as the right pelvic bone will reach up, and then let that go, returning to center. Try that same movement on the other side. Left hip bone moves up, right hip bone draws straight down towards the earth. And let that go, moving with the breath, going back and forth. And again, just tuning in to your sensations, letting yourself be just relaxed for the hour. There's like nothing to do. We actually, with our visualization, especially with the dog barking, sorry, but we already did the hard part. If you want to challenge yourself today, do another session of that visualization, seeing yourself working with your movement of choice. Good, go one more time, back and forth. And then let this go all together. Take a moment. If you're on the roller, just allow yourself to melt like caramel over the roller, letting your fascial tissues, your muscle tissues open as your nervous system becomes more efficient and coordinated. And then we're just going to make our way onto the ground. If you're not already on the ground, gently rolling that roller out of the way. We're done with it for today. All right, so I wanted to warm up with some of our PNF patterns. I know a lot of you had to miss the day we did these diagonal patterns. So let's just go through these motions. We're going to do a dying bug. Make sure that you place this neutral spine awareness along the back of your body. So head will touch, you'll have a little gap at the small of your neck. Your rib cage will touch, you'll have a little gap at the small of your back or lightness there. And then your pelvis and sacrum will rest on the ground. So we'll reach the right hand up to the sky with the palm facing inward. And with that right arm, go at your own pace. Maybe you just stay with your right arm with the fingertips straight up to the sky. But to the degree that feels comfortable, allow that right arm to reach overhead with the thumb drawing down towards the ground, kind of out and up on a diagonal. Come back up right over your chest. Try that maybe 2 more times. There's a diagonal motion where that right arm goes up and out, and then it comes back right up over the chest. Try that 1 more time, up and out. Good, and back to center. Now let's add our legs. So left knee will lift. Notice if your low back collapsed. Hopefully it didn't. Hopefully you still have your neutral spine on. Let's take the right hand and connect it with the left knee. Sealing those 2 body parts together, you can feel this connection through the front of your body. Now stretch your left leg out and down as the right arm goes up and out. And then you can even press your left heel into the ground, engage the back of your left glutes. And if your right thumb touches the ground, you can gently press your right thumb into the ground. But if not, don't worry about it. Now come back to the center. Draw those 2 points together. Go back and forth here. So maybe we'll do 4 on each side, feeling this diagonal across our body, getting a lot of feedback from the floor with our leg as we contact the floor. Maybe we contact the floor with the right thumb, maybe not. No pressure. Good. So feeling these 2 different sides of your body working in coordination. It's a very primitive pattern. You actually developed this patterning before you could walk when you were learning to crawl and roll over. This has been kind of latent in your nervous system. It's been there the whole time waiting for you to reconnect with it. Go ahead and relax, release, let that right arm go, let that left leg go. Now let's try the same thing, left arm. So left fingertips point up to the sky, palm facing in, and allow yourself to draw that left thumb overhead and back towards the ground. So it's out and back like a diagonal. Bring that left hand fingertip back up and see if you can feel the connection with the back of your shoulder as you lower that arm overhead. You should feel this awareness beneath the shoulder blade as you do this motion. And I don't have quite as much range on that side. And so there'll be differences side to side, no problem. Now seal that right knee, left hand towards one another without flattening your low back. And then again, we're going to move those two body parts away from one another, maybe getting that right heel into the ground and really pressing that right heel down so you can feel the back of the glutes engaged, and then draw them both to the midline. The spine doesn't move, the jaw stays soft, the neck stays soft, really isolating the movement sort of between the shoulder blade, and you can use your feet or hands as well, but really at the center of your body between your shoulder blade and your hips. That is essentially all of your core. Good. Maybe one or two more times here. This feels really good. Again, these are all things that your body already knows. I remember when I was in undergrad, or I might have been in grad school already. My boyfriend at the time, go ahead and relax for a moment, just release that, let that go, was in engineering school. He was a huge baseball fan and could throw a baseball really well. He lost the ability to throw a baseball when he was in thermodynamics class. He actually just lost it. So we can't hold infinite amount of information in our brains, right? The more skilled we become at other things, the more we move away from other things. But all of that stuff is still there for us to connect back into. Okay, enough said. We're gonna flow through now our bird dogs. Let's come into our bird dogs. So if you are not weight bearing on your arms, please work on some other movements such as the neutral spine crunch, or you can get onto your roller and work on your marches on your roller. But if you are weight bearing and you feel comfortable here, let's start in kind of a weird position. You can gently draw the heels of the hands towards the knees or on hands and knees. Hands are directly under shoulders, knees are directly under hips. Let's lift that right arm and draw the right arm back towards the right hip, palm faces the ground. So squeeze that shoulder blade into the midline, just feel the stability there. Now sweep the arm along the ground and palm comes up towards the sky, elbows right underneath our nose. So we're sort of making a diagonal, starting with that right arm back by the right hip, and then sweeping the arm up, 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 till the elbow faces under the nose. Let's try that one more time. And then we're gonna add a leg. Good. And then bring both hands down, take a rest for a moment. Good. Now let's start with, let's see, I did this beforehand, so I wouldn't have to think about this too much, but now I totally lost it. So let's start with that left leg up, right arm back to the hip. And now we're gonna curl that left knee in towards the chest as the right arm reaches across. Try not to lose your neutral spine here. Good. Going up and across, going out and back. Good. So the arm and the knee are kind of doing the same thing at the same time. One more time. Up and in, out and back. Neutral spine the whole time. Relax that. Let that go. If anything feels too confusing, if it's aggravating, just do a step easier. So we'll start with the arm. Left arm reaching back to left hip. Notice how that weight bearing feels into the right hand, into the right shoulder blade. Squeeze that left shoulder blade into your midline and then sweep that arm underneath you until the elbow is under your nose and your palm is facing the ceiling. And then draw that arm back. There's one. Now, maybe on the other side, you could do 6, maybe on this side, you do 3. So listen to your body, just allow yourself to kind of respond to whatever cues you're getting. Good. And then we'll start with that left arm back with the left palm facing the ground. Right leg can lift and reach. Now we'll bend that, curl that right knee in as the left arm sweeps up and across, and then open back out. Good, and we're just gonna do a couple more. on this side. Again, these are patterns, very primitive. We develop these when we're crawling, when we are navigating life before we are walking. One more time. Everyone has it in them somewhere. It's buried under all that calculus and thermodynamics. Go ahead and release that. Let that go.